sports growing up, and I stumbled across boxing in quite a peculiar way when I was 12, and I walked into the boxing gym for the first time, and I just fell in love with it. Fell in love with the sport, fell in love with like the intensity of it, the passion, and whether I was going to be any good or not, this is something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Whether I was going to be a coach or, luckily it turned out I'm not too bad, and I'm able to kind of carve a living out of it. So I'm very grateful.
How old are you now? Like 14?
24 now. 24.
You said you stumbled into the gym. I mean, but I mean, there's got to be a reason that you ended up going to the gym.
Yeah, I was always into football, soccer. I was always a big soccer player, and I was quite good at playing for like my local team. And it turns out we were playing football at lunchtime at school. Like we did every single lunch, and two of my friends ended up having a fight, and one guy was like quite big and he was quite cool, one of the toughest in the school. Another guy was the complete opposite, quite small and scrawny, and you thought there was only going to be one winner. And about 20 seconds later, the big tough guy was on the floor crying his eyes out. The little scrawny guy made him cry. Like I remember saying to him, "Wow, Aaron, how'd you learn to do that?" And he goes to a local boxing club. And I thought, wow, I didn't realise there was a boxing club in town. But because I didn't want to go by myself, I went to the big guy who was by this time, he just now wiping his eyes, and said, "Look, the only reason he beat you up is because he goes boxing club. We should go tomorrow, get good, it's good to go strike. Then you can fight him again tomorrow and everyone's going to like you again." He's like, "Okay, cool." And we both went that night.
This was like 12?
I was 12 years old, I was 12. And we went, there's a corner shop, I bought a gum shield and bought a mouth guard, and went to the gym. And I walked in the gym and I just loved it, and like I said, I fell in love with the sport. And I sparred that very day. I loved it that much, I didn't even mould my gum shield. I just put the gum shield in my mouth. It was just a piece of plastic and bit down, and I sparred that very same night. And like I said, I fell in love with the sport.
So what happened to the big tough guy?
He never went. He went once, never came back.
Oh,
never came back. But the next day they were all friends again. So
okay.
That's all
Did
good.
the scrawny guy keep fighting too, or no?
He fought for a bit. He wasn't too bad, but he got to that age where I think girls and drink and other stuff kind of came into it, so he kind of fell by the wayside.
Okay. Girls and drink always do it.
I know.
So I mean, you progressed. How many amateur fights did you have?
I had about 150, 160 fights. Culminated in me. I won a bronze medal at the Olympic Games last year amid quite difficult circumstances as well. My mum was very ill at the time. My mum, 6 weeks before the Olympics, she suffered a really serious injury. Luckily she's doing well now. She's recovering really well. She's back at home. She's doing great. But she suffered a brain hemorrhage 6 weeks before the Olympic Games. So I pulled out initially. I pulled out the games and I didn't want to fight. And then 3 weeks before, my sisters, who were looking after mum at the time in hospital, looking after by her bedside, kind of pulled me to the side and said, "Look, you got to go through the Olympic Games. She's going to want you to go through the Olympic Games." And kind of guilt tripped me into going, and I did, and somehow I managed to kind of juggle it all and compete as well. And I managed to win a bronze medal, which at the time I was very upset about because I wanted to win a gold medal and I thought I deserved to win a gold medal. I was good enough to win the gold. But with all the other stuff that's going on, I can be quite proud of my achievements, I think, to kind of contend with all and still come out successful.
So how was the crowd in London? I mean, that must have been unbelievable to fight in your own country.
That was phenomenal. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to turn professional, and turn professional on the biggest stage possible, because the crowd, I've never had that. 10,000 people at the XL Arena in London, it's such a prestigious arena as well. It was just, it made hairs in the back of the neck stand up, and just thinking about it now, it does the same. So I didn't want to go back to being an amateur in boxing in front of 100 people. I wanted to experience those big exciting nights all the time.
So you decided to sign with Golden Boy as opposed to a British promotion company. Why was that?
I think when Richard Schaefer came over and he met us, came over a couple of times to meet us, and I was just kind of taken aback by what he wanted to do and what he wanted to achieve. He shared my ambition.
What is that, making money? What is that, making money?
No, just being the best. I'm at a stage in my life where money. I've never really had much money growing up. Okay. So obviously, ultimately, that's what drives the world. But at the minute, I just want to win titles. I want to replicate this man sitting opposite me. I want to win a world middleweight title and
what he's doing is impossible to do, right?
Yeah, I know. Define all laws, but.
He'll win titles, and then he going want the money, more of the money. It is a process you want to go through. You're going to go through. You're around long enough. Keep doing what you're doing and learn, and you'll get the titles. And you'll be like, wait a minute, man, I gotta get those big purses. It's going to happen. It happened to me. Yeah.
So is Bernard like one of the people that you want to emulate? I mean, is he?
Without that, I'm quite. My coach always said, you know, I'm tall like him. I'm 6'1". He's always saying like Bernard Hopkins did this. Watch him do this. Watch him negate this person's like. I watch his fight. Whenever I box Southpaw, I always watch his fight with Keith Holmes. And the way he kind of like negated everything Keith Holmes had and played into his hands. I just think that's what I like about Bernard is his intelligence in the ring. You know. I was quite a bright boy at school. I was quite clever at school, and I used to want to kind of try to use most of that, and take that intelligence into the ring like Bernard did so effectively.
Are you moving to the States?
No, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to have like 2 or 3 like long camps over here a year. Maybe go around the gym, do a lot of sparring, go to all the different cities and spar. But I very much I live back in the UK, but I want to fight here probably as much as I box at home, get the experience. But yeah, I'm very much like UK fighter, I live at home.
Do you have a favorite British fighter that you follow?
Yeah, Carl Froch. Carl Froch is my favourite active fighter at the moment. I like his rugged warriorness. And I like how he's always in big fights, tough fights, and yeah, I respect that. You know, I think he even said himself, he's not the most talented person in the world, but what he's got just through like pure sheer determination, and he's made the most of it. You know, and he's been a really successful world champion. So I look up to him greatly. Sparring a lot as well, yeah. I did sparring with him, and he's a great guy. He's always what I like about Carl. Whenever we spar, we'll come out the ring. He tells me when I caught him with a good shot. It's all out. No, I felt that one, or that was a good body shot. That's nice. Like when Carl Froch tells you, I didn't hurt him, but when he's feeling the power, I come out feeling, you feel a little bit taller, a little bit bigger.
Anthony, the timescale between the Olympics and the decision to turn pro, what was going through your head? What was happening in that time?
Just weighing everything up. You know, I've seen particularly in Britain, you see people like James DeGale turn pro, and it goes really, really well. Then all of a sudden, he's in a big legal dispute with Frank Warren, and you see people like Frankie Gavin again turn pro, and it kind of he started off really well, but then it kind of you see I didn't want to do that, and I didn't want to kind of have an argument with my promoter. I didn't want to kind of split up. I want to have the same team from my first fight in Sheffield 2.5 weeks ago to the very end when I decided to hang up my gloves, and I wanted to kind of get everything in place, whether it's my PR guys, my boxing guys, I wanted to get my management, Golden Boy, I wanted to get everything, I want to get my house in order really before starting off, and I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to go down the route of have an argument with promoters, an argument with managers, split up with different trainers. I wanted to get everything kind of sorted out, so I thought it took time, and I'm still quite a young man, still only 24, quite a young 24 as well. I can get bigger and better. And again, looking back to Bernard, look how he's defying time and age, and boxing. When you look after yourself and live right and train hard, but live right outside of the ring like I do, then there's not really a time where you're 35, you have to retire now. So I was happy taking the 6 months extra to decide what I wanted to do to get everything in order and move on now.
Was there a serious consideration for you to perhaps go with the British promoter at any point?
To be honest with you, when I met Ricky Hatton, sat down with Ricky Hatton, and he seemed like a lovely bloke and had some good ideas, but I just thought, when I met Richard Schaefer, I thought that was, judging from the meeting, I was just much more impressed with him, and he shared my ambition, and I'm here now in Atlantic City, boxing on a brilliant card. I'm sitting opposite Bernard Hopkins. I'm pretty sure I've made the right choice.
You got most of the young fighters that are coming out of the Olympics or starting their career over, or starting their career as a professional. They seeking out to Golden Boy more than any other promoter that exists, because they understand that you have Oscar De La Hoya, legend, living legend. You have Bernard Hopkins, and you have other fights that can be made in time in-house, where the guys you want to fight, even the champions that are free and the ones that want to be free and wish they was free, is because they want to be able to come and be able to fight the fights or the fighters that Golden Boy has. Because it makes sense. I mean, if I was out on the outside and I was looking in and I was like, wait a minute, and I was a 54-pounder or 47-pounder or a 40-pounder, can you imagine if I wasn't with Golden Boy at that time, with the fights are being made? It's by Golden Boy, because they have the deeper stable to put the best matches on. Not one fight, 2 fights, 3 fights. They got multiple fights and multiple divisions. So we have a deep talent pool of present and future. And even in his level of education or level of learning as a pro, going from one stage to another, Saturday, and then the next stage, then the next stage. So it's all in-house, and it works easy for the in-house people that put the fights together to do the big fights when they need to happen.
A lot easier than when you were coming up.
I don't want to stop. I just wanted to say it again.
A lot easier than when you were coming up, I take it.
It was, because, of course, Golden Boy wasn't in existence when I came up, but it's a lot better for the guys now than it was for me, like you said, because, I mean, the guys that I had to fight was either with this guy or that guy. Look, the middleweight tournament. All right, you think for 1 iota I wanted to be in any kind of business for Don King. You understand what I'm saying? But if I wanted to be the undisputed champion, if I wanted to be the best in my division, once you get one title, any respectful and any pride champion don't want 3 the same champions in one room at some kind of gala or some kind of banquet or some kind of event, and they saying, oh, the IBF. Then Michael Buffer saying, everyone introduced the WBC middleweight champion. You're confused. A casual fan. So thank you. So when you have a situation where you don't have to deal with that, and you have to deal with only but one entity, I mean, give and take. If you got 2, that's even great in today's world boxing. I mean, that gets a lot of the BS done and out of the way. You never really get to the BS. Yeah, it's the negotiations, no matter who you with, it's always. He got his team, right? Golden Boy had their company. So they're always in negotiations. But when you got 4 or 5 people or 2 different entities back, fights never happen. Case in point. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying it never happened. It didn't help the fans. Didn't help boxing. Pacquiao, Mayweather. You think if Pacquiao would have stayed or been with Golden Boy? I use the word stayed and been with because of the situation. That fight would have got done. Now, I'm biased, and you might say, well, how can you be concerned? Because you read a deal with one entity saying, look, guys, come on, man. Like, it's a whole load of money. You know what I mean? Now, that's and then other things. It's easy to deal with to handle the circle when there's everybody at this table live in the same house. You know what I mean? All right, Tim, you got to use the bathroom downstairs. You got to use the bathroom upstairs. I'm going up here. We all sharing and know that this is all in-house and we can work and make it happen. That's my opinion. I mean, these guys are, I ain't gonna say lucky, fortunate to be in a situation where they still have the options to pick and choose who they want to give their good years, careers to, sign, with looking for the rewards when they build themselves up and win, and if they somehow don't do what they expected to do early on, they don't get kicked to the curb. They don't get put to the side. You've seen fighters lose and Golden Boy, they still got careers. Or you got Ortiz, right? Victor, right? Just left Dancing with the Stars. He's going to have another big fight soon, right? And he had fights after the Floyd Mayweather fight where, it didn't work out for him. But he still had, and he's not a pay-per-view guy. I don't think he ever been on one time, I think, with Floyd. But that was because of Floyd. But he still is relevant. in that weight division. Why? Because there's matches that can be made for number 1 guys, number 2 guys, number 3 guys, and some of the number 4 guys that might be near my age, but they still around. I mean, you think Zab Judah got a shot because of Zab Judah? No, he got a shot because he's 4-time or 3-time champion. B, he's from Brooklyn. That helps for the Brooklyn Center or Barclays Center. And as he's shown, he went 12 rounds and he got cred. He didn't lose anything on the fight, as far as whether he can fight another fight. You know what I mean? Whether he still should be in the game. So, to me, man, I mentioned something that 10 years ago. I think it's 6 years ago. Golden Boy, 6.5 years. And even though we don't call it openly all the time, but we mentioned the Golden Boy East and Golden Boy going to be promoted on the East more strong, and people shrugged it off and like, whatever. Thought maybe this was just something like a, it's a name thing. You use a guy name, you just this, and you give it a little credibility, but it ain't really what it is. What it is. Now we got the structure of a faculty in New York City. And one of the buildest neighborhoods in New York City is the Brooklyn. That area. The area wasn't 4 or 5 years ago good to walk down the street. And now that same thing that we talked about, because when I first came on with Golden Boy, my first 15 dates was here in Atlantic City, because I had a friend that knew the guy named Larry Mellons that ran all of the business here. He's in Florida now. He was in Australia running the gamblings down in Australia. So he's in Florida now. Still keep in touch with him. He was the checkbook, like Espinosa and Ken Hirschner and HBO. He was the checkbook of the Borgata, which was, again, relatively new player in Atlantic City town, right? And it was who I knew, who knew him, who put us together, and automatically within 3 months of announcing, Golden Boy or Oscar and I are partners with signed contracts. They was even shocked. Like, how did you get dates? You know what I mean? Like, I'm already out and running. Like, yo, man, this is serious. But now it's even more of a threat to our adversaries, to our components. Why? Because now you got the Barclays Center, and you got the legendary Madison Square Garden. People are attracted to new stuff. I don't care who they are. I don't care where they live. When they hear something new, they just want a new restaurant. They just want to check it out. They want to see how the food is, right? And they love that restaurant. They've been going there for many years. But they heard something about this new one. And once they get there, it's up to that restaurant and their service for them to keep coming back. And that's why the Barclays Center, Atlantic City is great. This is my home. I sell out. I do more walk-ups in this town than anywhere I fought. So I really got 2 homes. Seriously, I really got 2 homes. I live in Philly all my life. I don't do well in there. I don't know. It's crazy. But he will have a chance sooner than later to break himself in this big, beautiful arena. But what better place to start in Atlantic City, man? I mean, this is where Tyson had it held down in the 80s. I mean, when you came to Atlantic City, Michael Spinks, the quickest knockout, 30-some seconds, here in Atlantic City. So
25th anniversary.
So compare, 28th, thanks. Atlantic City is like, for a young guy, not for me, I'm old dusty, right? I've been here, but for young guys, the fight in Atlantic City is fighting in a garden in Atlantic City, because they have their own legacy, they have their own stories, they have their own major fights that happen here. This was like Vegas in the East Coast. Many days here, right, Tom?
Yeah.
Tim been had many big fights. You also too.
Spinks and Tyson.
So
As
I mean, yeah, man.
You were here too, right?
Yeah, it was often, and I'm talking. Is it wrong to say the 80 era? Was it the 80 era or the early 90s and 80s, right?
Yeah, George Foreman Holyfield was here. That drew 20,000 people.
See, so you, yeah. So you're stepping into. Believe it or not, you might can't see it with the naked eye, but if a good doctor come in here with some swabs, it's a lot of DNA of some blood and spit or whatever, and all kinds of nasty stuff. in that arena right there, because let me tell you, man.
The house that Gotti built too.
Yes.
Yo, Arturo,
You can't forget
Arturo
that.
Gatti, I had
Mickey
friends,
Wars fight.
I had friends that weren't even boxing fans, and they would hear that Arturo Gatti was fighting down here, and they'd be like, "You gotta get me a ticket.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there." Yeah. The guy sold out like 7 fights in a row. Like,
You can never
sold
take
out.
that away. This is the Vegas on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. So if you ever become Arturo Gatti, you'll be huge here. Not that I'm advising you fight like Arturo Gatti.
Don't live like him either.
Don't live like me.
I'm glad Tim said that, because I talked to you in that room. Everything changes, and even the way they judge fights in the last 10 years that I witnessed, you can tell, even in business, even in real estate, same in England. I'm pretty sure the world works the same way, no matter where you live. There's a change in what neighborhood they want to put money in and what neighborhood they don't. Right? In Philly, they got a place called North Philly. It was a place, even cops, when they came 20 deep, not one car. Now they made it, we call it the yuppie town. The coffee shops, the sweaters tied up, the bicycles, the high water pants, the European look. In neighborhoods where, not no disrespect, that you think, I thought I was in England when I turned. This is the roughest part of the city that they didn't rehab and they didn't change. And again, that's the word we use. We call it the yuppie town. They took the worst part of the city and they changed. Now, why did I say that? Boxing have became, to me, more of, in the last 10 plus years, of outdated judges who haven't really understood the change of how they're supposed to judge a fight, or how they shouldn't change how they judge a fight. Because to me, right now, it's more substance and smoke and mirrors than more than, do you get counted for your defense? Do you get counted for your ring generalship? Do you get counted for the punches that you don't take, let alone the ones you do take? Now it's more of the UFC / mentality, like who can punch each other in the face and who would last standing up longer, who would get the win. I was told, even if you become a pay-per-view star, because somehow you didn't made the fight exciting because you didn't duck. Well, fast forward 5 or 6, 7 years from now. You successful. You have to transform to understand that when it's all said and done, who's going to handle your money? If you're scrambled up here and you don't use what we call the science of boxing, boxing is an art. Boxing is like fencing, a painter. That's why the great Ray Robinson, that's why the Muhammad Ali, who can dance and biggest heavyweight can dance the way he danced on his feet like a middleweight. You don't hear hit and not get hit. Some criticize Floyd Mayweather last fight because he boxed the last couple of rounds and you heard some boos. I don't care what he getting paid to justify. You want to see blood and guts because you spent $100? You want me to not duck something that I clearly see, that I can just do this to save my organ that the doctors haven't made any solution how to transplant a brain? So I'm boring because I use the matrix of sliding and slipping and making you miss, and there's no action. Because one is just beating up on another guy that can happen, can fight, and it's boring because there's no action in the fight because I'm getting all the best of it. What I'm trying to say is we done lost for excitement, the art of what boxing really is. If you want to see those type of fights, even though it's an art, because the art is what they do, MMA and the UFC. If you want to see that type of, I'm just going to fight, and not worrying about offense and defense, but I'm gonna get you before you get me, then fine. I'm gonna see how long your career lasts. If you want less than 10 years of your career, don't dunk. And if you got a child and you got a child that you might have to go talk to their teacher, and you might have to go somewhere, that child sooner or later gonna say, can mommy come in instead of you, daddy? So I don't give two, listen, I don't give two shits in my whole career when I really understood that if I want to be talking right, even though the risk is there if you duck all of it, it's always there because what we do, we signed up for it. But do you think that I'll be at this table coming across clear, I believe, to everyone here and articulate? With all those battles for almost 3 decades, you think I'll be sitting up here talking this way and not like Elmer Fudd or Bugs Bunny? But they say I'm boring. Okay. I love Arturo Gatti. I was with Mildred Teller in Philadelphia last year. We already take a risk by signing up for the job. And not to satisfy their careers and their family. If I don't duck if I don't duck more than I take, then who's gonna talk to my kid's teacher? Who's gonna sit up there? You're gonna embarrass him or her. So why not be content? Who's gonna count my money if my brains is scrambled and I got $50 million? What the fuck that means if you can't operate? So now you gotta give it to your manager because he's gonna do right by you? Look at the history of managers handling your money. So I'm gonna be the boring ass, legendary Hall of Famer fighter that I possibly can be, because if I can duck a punch to keep this right, hey, listen, then you ain't got to worry about it. Because at 48, you think I'm going to change? Listen, if you look at the first style of the first quarter of my career, I was a totally different fighter. But I realized, and I was told by Bowie Fisher, old-time trainers, we don't have them no more. We got more trainers who want to be just as big as the fighters. Oh, you ain't peeped that in the last 10 years? Well, you a little young. You got trainers now who wants to be just as big as the fighter. And so they got their own act. Mama told you study all young fighters, study all type of fighters. But if you look at my style, when I first, 89, 88, the first quarter of my style, I come at you, break you down like a Benny Briscoe from Philadelphia, wear you out. Forward, I was a forward, kept coming, kept out. And then I learned, man, I sit down for 1 second. You know what, I know that phone call. You know what, when I first, Tim been around long enough to understand what I'm saying here.
Yep.
When I first started, I had the Philadelphia grit, come right forward, straight to you. But somewhere in that 27-year career I have, I realized that if I can beat these guys here with skill, and beat these guys and I hit them more than they hit me, what the fuck is wrong with that? I'm gonna get the same check. They're not gonna give me a bonus for not getting hit. So I said to myself, I'm gonna learn how to master my defense. Right? And work on that as the first line of defense, is to work on the defense. That means roll, catch, here, catch there. Because I knew, Tim, that if you want to have longevity, you can't be reckless. You can't be reckless. If you want to have a career, then fine, by no means. But certain guys want certain things out of their career. If you want to have a short career, don't duck. Don't duck. Hell, go right out there and everybody else outside be happy. But I guarantee you won't be around to make no money. And you'll still have the same scars. But if you want to last a little longer and maybe be eligible for a Hall of Famer, or break some records or set your records, you got to preserve yourself. Now go back to life. If you want to extend your life longer than what you expected to live, say, okay, the average person live 80 years, 70 years, 75 whether, then you'll change your lifestyle. You understand what I'm saying? So you mean to tell me that you don't have, the society and the way the business of boxing is, if you want to get on TV and be a star, you got to fight, right? Like a UFC guy, but not on the floor. My thing is, that's why we forgot and we got away from the science of the sweet science. What is the sweet science? The sweet science is what it says. Sweet science. It's sweet science. Now it's barbaric. Now it's for my money, for my ratings, I need you to bring each of the brains out. And then when it's all said and done, yeah, you got millions, but he got to count it. And the last time I've seen anybody that had somebody count their money and do their business, he's a human being, she's a human being, is 1 second of a day, they know you're not watching, they become corrupt. So you want to be able to count behind the person that's counting, which is your accountant. And you want to be able to learn, the business of boxing. You want to be able to learn how, if you from the UK, which you are, and you become a star here in America, you got to understand that in America you get a check, and in the UK where you're from, where you got an audience, is foreign sales. The promoter ain't going to tell you that. If I'm a listen, I'm giving them straight talk. No, listen what I'm saying. Most promoters ain't gonna tell you that.
Yes.
We're
All right?
very honest.
See, listen, nobody said nobody was honest here. I'm just talking.
Yep.
See, when you have to justify that you're honest, I know I'm a promoter, then that's the person you, it's just like you being in a room and your watch is missing. And you say, where's my watch? And one person said, I ain't got it, check him. So when one person says, we're honest, we don't have to justify that. We don't have to justify that. Because now what that is saying is you want to prove something. When I talk to young fighters, I talk to young fighters about education. I don't get into it. Listen to this. Tim, when I talk to young fighters, that's one thing about me. I will not become who I despise. Young fighters don't have the knowledge, right, that we can give them. So when I talk, I don't talk saying, Golden Boy ain't gonna tell you, because I would have told you that. I'm man enough to tell you that. What I'm telling you is, you might not be with Golden Boy your whole career. I'm telling you just how to tell you how this business goes. When you are from the UK and you become a star here, you want to know about everything that deals with a star that brings the check in.
Exactly.
And so when someone says that we are this and we are that, that's irrelevant. Because I'm talking to you as a fighter. I'm not talking to you as a promoter. And that's the difference, and that's the fear that I put in people, even the ones that might be around me every day or might be around me certain times. Because the fear is, like, it's like if you were around a bunch of heist guys that heist diamonds, and somehow you don't know about this guy because this guy here is saying, we're not doing this. Like, well, what y'all? So you gotta, like, I'm in. When I'm in, I'm in. Like, that was crazy right there, because that is justification. My thing is, when I talk to fighters about what I experienced, because I have a credibility. I don't have to go search them out. They find me. When I'm at fights on different places, it's top fighters today of the world. But no, I can't mention their names. Is it right to do this? Is it right to, I don't want to get sued for torturing my friends. I'm not calling nobody up, but fighters call me because they know I fucking know. And they know I've been through it. And I survived. My credibility is high because I'm on the industry. He wrote it. They top writers. And sometimes they would tell you they questioned my sanity, but they understood. That one thing I understood about this business, that if you don't watch your own back, and you don't watch your own self, I don't give a fuck who it is, then a human being that has always a chance to be somebody that they wasn't Monday. We know what a shark would do when you jump in the water. You know an elephant would crush you to death, right? Because they are animals. Tigers would do what? Tigers would do what tigers do. Secret and Roy up in Vegas took his whole face off. It's a tiger. No, I'm not saying it to laugh. I'm just telling you what a tiger. But one thing, my point is this. I can mention a whole bunch of animals that by nature, what they do. By nature. So now they want to go swim with the sharks. Oh, look at this story. So the guys could just get ate. So what you mad about? Fool, what you mad about? You know, they want to go, you know, well, you never see too many black people trying to swim with sharks. You don't see them, I mean, we don't do that. You know what I mean? Play with tigers. Oh, look at the tigers. They do that. They do that. Tiger go whop, take their head off. Oh my God, somebody got killed in the zoo. Well, you're in there petting the damn tigers. It's a tiger, you son of a bitch. But my point is this. Tim, human beings, the other creature, because we are creatures, you know that, right? On this earth. We part of everything else, the birds and all that, right? They're unpredictable.
That's why humans are at the top of the food chain.
I'm glad you said that, because people think I'm crazy. When I said, I already know, I read a lot. I read a lot, dog. Human beings, the other creature that lives on this planet with the other ones is us. They really are unpredictable. Haven't you had somebody that you thought was who they was and they wasn't later? Monica, have you had somebody in your life or know somebody that was some one way Monday different the next day?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're very unpredictable. So if a person unpredictable, I'm gonna trust you with my checkbook. I'm gonna trust you to follow me around. I'm a grown man. So why wouldn't I want to know how the business go? Well, no, your job is just to fight it. Just get in the ring, train, fight, do this, do that. I was told that. And it didn't make sense. I was like, okay, if it's $1 million, then why am I wind up with 100,000? It didn't make sense to me. Let's go. It didn't make sense.
We have a Matisse and then Alexander is here, so we need to go. Stay here. So Lucas is here.
We're signing you up for the university,
Yeah.
well, Harvard.